Hi everybody, this video is about kombucha. If you've never heard of kombucha, you can Google it and learn more than you ever wanted to know probably. But I just wanted to show y'all my kombucha, and Dave and I, we've been making kombucha for, gosh, many years now. And what kombucha is a fermented tea beverage. And this is my jar. That is, we haven't dipped any of it out, and it's just now ready, which is why I have our two glasses here, and we like ours on ice. Got my ice cubes in there, and I'm about to serve us up some. Kombucha is considered to be a probiotic, and this weird looking thing on the top here that looks like something terribly wrong, you can see it in there, that is called a SCOBY, which stands for symbiotic colony of yeast and bacteria. Bacteria and yeast, actually. So I can't spell. Anyway, some people also call it a mushroom or a mother, and you have to get something to start your kombucha with. So I ordered my mother, my first one, off of eBay from someone, and since then I've ordered a few more because in the past occasionally I had my mother my kombucha got mold in it, and once that happens you need to start over. So anyway, I had to get rid of my mother, and I'm just serving us up some here, get a fresh start. But what this is when you get the mother, or the mother I bought was a little tiny chunk of this stuff here, this weird looking thing. And then you brew some tea, and it has to be actual tea. It can't be herbal tea. It has to be some type of tea. You can just use black tea, green tea, whatever kind of tea you want. And then you put a bunch of sugar into that because the yeast and bacteria feed off of the sugar and convert the sugar into alcohol, and you end up with the fermentation process, which gives you a sparkling beverage. It's carbonated, and it's probiotic, which means that it has all of the little bacteriums and yeast partying down in it, which is good for your gut. And it's kind of like comparable to, if you don't know what probiotic means, it's stuff like yogurt. That's one type of probiotic. Anyway, it's good for you, and while it does make alcohol, it's not like very much, so there's no way you're gonna get drunk drinking this stuff. I don't know how much you would have to consume, but you would probably die of like too much consumption of liquids before you actually even got drunk. So this SCOBY thing, the mother mushroom, whatever you want to call it, it grows and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes by, and eventually you will find it necessary to tear a lot of it off and discard it. It can be eaten. When we had chickens, I used to just feed it to the chickens because it doesn't really taste wonderful, but it's kind of a tofu, I don't know, texture, kind of rubbery. And yeah, it just feeds off of the sugar, and it continues to grow, and you keep it alive. You just, whenever you get down in your jar and you run out of tea, you leave a little bit in the bottom, and then you just brew up some more tea and add it. You have to be cautious about not adding the tea when it's hot. You got to let it cool off because you don't want to kill your SCOBY. And you got to keep everything really clean. Once the thing gets going, I find it's very hard to like mess it up because it's so acidic in the mix that like no bacteria or mold or anything is gonna easily grow in there. It's like kind of like apple cider vinegar, and eventually if you let it keep going, it will turn into vinegar. But we like it whenever it just starts to get carbonated and it still retains some of the sweetness. That's whenever we like it the best. So Dave and I, we drink this regularly, not every single day, because in between batches we've got to like let it sit and wait until it starts to ferment, and then, you know, during those days we take a break. You don't refrigerate it because it loses, unless you have a way to bottle it where you plug it up, it's not going to stay carbonated. It loses its fizz. So we just leave it in the jar and leave it out on the table, and it looks really weird to people who don't know what it is, but that's kind of fun. It makes for some interesting conversations too. You ask someone if they would like some tea and that you've had it out on your counter, but don't worry about that thing on top. You're not quite sure what that is, but it hasn't hurt us yet. They look at you like you're nuts. Anyway, so that is kombucha. Look it up. Good stuff.